received a minute ago. There's a supply ship not far from here. Sounds like they're all in the drink. And as responsible seafarers, the first and only question we need to ask is, what's in it for us? Could be some profitable salvage if you're quick. Not many super yacht owners want to get their hands dirty. Well, unless they're arms trafficking or running a Ponzi scheme. It's nice to see you taking a moment to see how this ship really runs.
Recently been disclosing and putting out UFO files that have been classified and hidden for many years, for over 80 years. So anytime anything will happen with any UFOs or extraterrestrials or anything like that, they kept the lid on it for many years. So much so to the point that people were ridiculed if they even talked about anything to do with any type of visitations, abductions, seeing extraterrestrials. But the thing is, the master teacher came in 1945 when he was born, as I said previously, and when he started his mission in the 62, 63, and officially, according to prophecy, opened the seventh seal in the 1970s. From that point, from his arrival from 1945, this is when the UFO activity started to decrease. And most can remember 1947 with the Roswell incident, in which the cover-up was very quickly turned into, oh, it was a weather balloon. Because they, as you remember from last class, that they have the legacy program and they have people set up doing that kind of thing. They still do it now, but it's getting harder to cover up things and just make up something, and experts will then analyze what they're saying and see that it doesn't make any sense. So from 1947, the Roswell crash, and then remember the wars as well, the First World War, Second World War, that was all instrumental in extraterrestrials starting to appear and show themselves because of the bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima and atomic weapons being used for the first time, which was something that the extraterrestrial had a big concern about, because we share the planet with them. We share the planet, and the planet is a part of the galaxy in our solar system, in our galaxy. And everything that you see around you is interconnected, because we're dealing with different energies and vibrations. And so if something happens, even to yourself, there's a cause and effect of everything. And so if they blew up this planet, it would have a massive impact on the beings that live here. Beings in the waters, being on the land, being in the skies, and so on. And then the galaxy itself is next to other galaxies, and then it will just continue and have a tumbling effect, like a domino effect. So the aliens had to step in because man was starting to use the information that they received by way of extraterrestrials in a very disagreeable way, or shall I say, mankind. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly run through the slides we covered before, and then where we stopped, I'll continue, and then you're going to have an opportunity. Because another thing that happens with our classes is people request we do format classes. Then other people see what's coming to you. Other people are like, they have questions they come there to ask, and they will focus on their questions. So what we always do is try to balance it out by giving you some topic to kind of intrigue your mind, to kind of get you ready for asking questions, and then we open it up for your questions about whatever you can study. And you should be studying, and the more you study and make notes, so when you're asking questions, you should really be asking questions that are coming from what you're studying and from the scrolls for clarification, rather than just randomly asking questions that will just go all over the place. But yeah, your soul is also yearning for particular answers by way of your ancestors within you that want to know certain things. But we have to juggle and balance everything. Rahmat, from my time, you were going to ask something. If you're going to ask a question, please use the mic just for the benefit of those online as well, so that everyone can hear you. We do record these classes, so we want the audience to clear. Go ahead.
So I
Rahmat.
was just trying to check in because I'm seeing on the live when we tried that the volume. People are saying that they're
They
not
say they
saying.
can't hear.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, let's check that. 1, 2, you're right. No, the mic's working. Can we confirm for more than one person? Because sometimes it's the person that is saying that it's their device that's the problem. So if you generally have more than one person saying it, then we can say, yeah, it's me.
Get some
But
goodies?
is
Time to
anyone
get
else
back to the yacht and we can
experiencing
crack
with
open
this
a
on
few.
Zoom?
Hey,
Or brother?
hey, who the hell are you? Whoa, don't
Brother.
point that at me. Now you listen here, mate.
Okay,
I'm the bloody
let me see.
captain.
Hey, can you hear that? People are saying they can't hear with YouTube. So, man, you know, time with YouTube, the YouTube time for that, acting up, and they refresh it. Okay, but it's, well, man, it's fine now. Alright, cool. Go on. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I was saying that I'm talking about the balance now. I'm going to run through the previous slides. So, UFO files were released. I think they're being released in batches. I think there've been like 3 batches already, or maybe 4 now. And with them being released, just like when they started releasing other files to do with, you know, the whole thing like Epstein and all of that, there's a lot that people are finding out. And so they disclose these 4 extraterrestrials that you see on the screen right now. These are the 4 that they've actually released. They say these are the most common or most popular ones that they speak about. So you have the short, small ones here in the corner, who most refer to or know as the Greys. And then you have the Nordics, the insectoids, and the reptilians. This is what they've disclosed so far. But as you know from our videos, and if you've ever read any of the Master Teacher Scrolls, if you've ever seen any of these pictures, there's always a craft. See the craft at the top there, which UFO just stands for Unidentified Flying Object, which is a silly name because you are identified, and then you're saying it's unidentified. So the Master termed it as IFO, Identified Flying Object, because you're identifying it. But then over time, they started to play and change the name. And when a Master Teacher would say words like overstand, they would say he's making a word, but they would change the name from UFO to UFO. But they've changed it now again to UAPs, which is now unidentified aerial phenomenon. Okay? Yeah, so they've actually disclosed at least 4. So this is just general introduction in terms of chanting, and already opening up, in terms of putting the phone in silent and the usual stuff so that we don't get interrupted. We did not chant already. These are some useful resources for newcomers to take a picture of the screen, or you know, we just mentioned that our official website, worldwide website, UnitedSavingsWorldwide.com, is stored here. It's mashat.co.uk. The Connect page has a lot of information in terms of how you join our classes on Zoom, etc. And the new location, mashatbrixton.com. When we teach and we encourage people to do their research, we use tools such as the blueletterbible.org. These are the website, because the technology you have in your hand today with the smartphones, you can look up things quite easily. Oh, Rahabat Sakan, I see Sakan's online, so I have a moderator in Clubhouse, that's great. Keep an eye in case anyone has a question or wants to be brought up on stage to ask their question. Right, so these are the online resources we use. You can use others, you can even just Google something now, like if you want to know a quote, you can just Google the phrase or the actual quote, Google and it'll come up. Because technology is something that everyone has to contend with, especially when we're talking about extraterrestrials and UFOs. because they're so advanced that as we evolve, we start to use more and more technology, and sometimes we don't even know why they're being compelled to do certain things. So years ago, you had to rely on an expert to tell you what the Bible said or what the Quran said, and you would have a man with a podium, a preacher that would stand up every Sunday or Jummah every Friday and tell you what they think. You know, if you're in a Christian church, you sing songs, play with tambourines and dance and go home. And you come back every Sunday and you do the same thing over and over again. You don't really learn anything because you don't get the opportunity to really ask the question you want to know. So the technology now allows you to do that. You can go to the Hebrew, you can go to the Arabic, you can go to the whatever. You can click a button and it takes you and drill down into what's the word and what's the meaning of the word, etc., etc. You have that concordance. The Etym Online is an etymology online. It's basically you can look at the roots of words and research where these words came from, what they mean, because when you say a word in English, which is really part of the problem of the spell, when you say a word in English, one word in English can have up to 500 different meanings. So that's confusing because when you're speaking with someone, you have to rely that the person you're communicating with is using the same meaning of the word that you're using, but they may not. So I mean, so like if I say you understand, to one person that means something else. Like if I say look out, to the other person, what does that mean? Look out the window? Look, it's something dropping for me to look out. So when we're actually conversing in English, most people don't realize it because they're not synchronized. You're not the same vibration or the same wavelength. So it creates a lot of confusion, a lot of arguments, a lot of debates that are unnecessary. So good to know what word actually means when you say God, for example.
Was
That
amazing.
means so many different things.
Next time I'm taken hostage,
So
you're my
it's so
first port
important
of
that
call.
language is key. That's why we
Let's
have
get
our
back to
own
the
language.
yacht.
There's
Listen,
nobody
mate,
else
I
on
had
the
no
planet
idea East
that
Asia's
has
biggest
come
money
along as
laundering
one of
octopus
our
boats in the marina we hit.
giving
That
us
whole
our
situation
language.
got
The
seriously out of
language
hand.
is key because that's
You
what's
almost
going
lost
to
your
unite.
skipper
Because
and your
we won't
mixologist
speak
in one
and
fell
think in
swoop.
meanings.
Fatal to any
So how can
operation.
you
And quite apart from
think
his
in the
truly horrifying
language
breath,
and
I reckon that
meanings
arsehole would have
that
killed us both, even if you'd given him the money.
the person
Speaking
or
of
the
which,
people that
I reckon that salvage job is
ulterior
going to earn us
motives
a
or they
pretty
don't have the
penny.
best interests at heart.
Silver lining, eh?
So if you're thinking in English and speaking in English, you're already on the stuff. So you have to learn our language. Alright. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, so as I mentioned before, Donald Trump, the President of the United States, has disclosed UFO. We spoke about this last week, so I'm not going to spend. Of course, if there's anything you want to touch on, and we explained that what you're actually finding out with disclosure